You're not growing because we're going to discuss it on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast.
Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, here every week discussing all things pests. And we're going to be discussing why you're not growing. And why is it that somebody can take a business from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million in a couple of years, and you've been doing it for 12, 15 years, and you can't get past one employee? Everyone has limits on how big they're going to be able to get a company. Some people just simply limit themselves. Your thinking and your attitudes about what you perceive will determine how far you get and how big you get. A lot of what happens to you has nothing to do with your circumstances, has nothing to do with your market conditions, has nothing to do with your competition, has nothing to do with the distributor you have or the products you have available to you to grow. It simply has to do with how you feel and how you think about certain things that is limiting to you. Because you have a preconceived notion of things, certain things being wrong, certain things being unethical, certain things being immoral, because of your background, because of who you worked for, because of how you were treated, because of your religious thinking, because of certain things. It all comes down to how you think. And you can be a successful big company and have ethics and have morality and treat your people right and do the right thing. This idea that if you're bigger, you're unethical. The one-man guy looks at the 10-person company and says, oh, their quality isn't as good as mine. And he rests on his laurels that he's a perfectionist and that he's an expert and that he's so much better than everybody else around him. But he's still living in a one-bedroom apartment while that guy is living in a 5-room mansion and his employees love him. His customers love him. Is he as good as you? Is his quality as good as yours? Probably not. But his quality isn't bad either. Some people just prefer to deal with an individual person, and that feeds your ego. Nobody does it. When you hear the customer says, John, nobody does it as good as you. Don't ever send me a guy here and you say, yes, I'm going to be the only guy you ever see. You're stuck. You're never going to grow because it feeds your ego more than it's a reality. I got customers tell me all the time, you know, you're the only one I allow in this house. Nobody's ever said. I tell them right there and then, listen, I plan to grow. I'm going to have employees. I have employees. Actually, the person that's going to come and do your follow-ups is this person. I'm just doing the initial inspection and the initial service to understand how grave the situation is before I hand it off. See, a lot of the things has to do with our egos. They're so freaking inflated that we can't, see past it. How you feel about employees will determine whether you ever have one. If you see the employee as a liability versus an asset, you will never grow. And you know what? What you think has nothing to do with reality. It's all in your head. It's all in your feelings. Because other companies are able to hire people and grow because they see employees as assets. You see them as a liability. See, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. You can't trust anybody because you think everybody's out to get you. Everybody's going to steal from you. Every employee is going to steal. And therefore, I'm going to have no employees because one of them might steal from me. You gave up just simply trying to hire because it's just too much work. You rather focus on sales and doing your own thing. This is exhausting work, hiring people, and I hate it. I hate going through the process. But yet you haven't taken a vacation. Well, maybe if you're up north and you have winter time and then you got to find something else to do. During the winter, you'll take a vacation and come down to Florida. But if you're in the South, you're never taking a vacation. You're never taking any time off. Or you're simply just limited your route to what you can do from 9 to 5 so you can have a life. But that's it. That's as far as you're ever going to get. If you get sick, you better hope you have a very good long-term disability policy. Because you're not going to be able to work for 6 months and you're out. Your business is done and you're going to end up working for somebody else. How do you feel about sales, salespeople, and the sales process? Problem with sales is they're all dishonest people. How do you feel about door-to-door salespeople? Do you feel they're deplorable? That they're the scum of the earth? Do you realize that before radio, before the internet, before direct marketing, the Fuller Brush man was the only way you could get a product? When he came knocking on your door and sold you soap, the only way you could get the Fuller Brush was through the Fuller Brush man. I think there's one left in the world. But a company decides to grow their business with a summer sales team. Those guys don't know anything about pest control. Yeah, but they can sell 200 contracts in a season per salesperson. See, you disagree with the process because the experience with the company you've been. Why don't you design a sales program that's ethical and moral to your liking and then pull it off? Well, that's a lot of work and you don't know how to do it because you've never been a professional salesperson. You're a technical salesperson. You sell technical expertise. I've been selling since I was 16. I'm 47 now. I've sold door-to-door, wholesale, retail, on the phone, online, business to business, business to consumer. I've sold everything. I've sold windows. I've sold decks. I've sold siding. I've sold windshields. I've sold auto parts. I've sold computer services. I've sold computer repair. I sold sales services. See, there isn't a system in and of itself that's bad. It's a system that you think is bad. Why don't you hire a sales manager to handle the sales part and hire salespeople because you don't like selling? Because you don't like selling doesn't mean that sales is a bad profession. As a matter of fact, salespeople in this industry make way more than the technicians do. Salespeople get to go on cruises. Salespeople get way bigger bonuses. While the technician who has all the experience does all the work and feels unappreciated. While everybody else is getting accolades. Do you have a prepared sales pitch? That's your 30-second elevator or 15-second elevator pitch. Or do you say, I'm just going to shoot from the hip because that just seems dishonest? See, your thinking is just limiting yourself. Has nothing to do with reality. I have a pre-canned sales pitch that everybody listens to. That closes 50 to 75% of all phone sales. I can't close the guy that wants a $25 spray service when we're at $250 plus for our initial. You have no prospecting process. You just hope the phone is going to ring. You don't have a sales process and you don't have a sales funnel. You just have a trickle, whatever comes in, because you despise sales. How do you feel about marketing? Do you feel that discounts are a bad word? That you feel that marketing, making offers, bundling, not using etymological terms like kill the nest, when in fact there is no nest, but that's what the customer can understand. See, the problem is every time I listen to you guys talk about marketing, you're talking pestinese. You're talking industry terms that you understand and you think you're so smart and so important, and the customer doesn't understand crap about what you just wrote. You need to tone it down. You need to bring it down to the level that the dumb customer, that you think the customer is, can understand. Marketing has to do with persuasion, making the phone ring. When you laugh at your competitor because they make outlandish claims. Like, if you become one of our clients and you ever have a bedbug problem, we'll solve it for free. And you're insulted by that. Here's the reality. They have enough data to make that offer because they know they're never going to have a claim. In 11 years that I've been a tech and an owner and in this business, I have never gotten a bedbug call from any of my clients. Never. I could offer something, make it a marketing promise, and never get a call from that, and never have a liability. See, if all you're doing is lower end housing, you're going to get a ton of that. But if you're selling to rich people, the first sign they feel anything, they're going to call. You know how many calls I've gotten on bedbugs? 0. From any of my clients. Ever. In 11 years. So you can make a claim on something that you know that has value to a client because it gives them security, but you know you're never going to have a claim on it. It's not misleading. That's not misleading the client. You will take care of it. But can you imagine in 11 years you get one that you invest in, and that one promise brought you $20,000, $30,000 worth of business a year? I get calls from clients all the time in different markets that I will never promise that to. How good are your management skills? Have you ever managed a team? Well, if you've never managed a team, you can't see how you're ever going to manage a team. It's all in your head. Have you ever developed anyone, including one of your former colleagues, to help them grow? You never did because you're afraid, because security was your number one concern, job security. Leaders will lead and people will follow them without them having to say a word. I've been a threat to every manager that I ever worked for. I was a threat in sales. I was a threat in any career for a manager that wasn't a leader. Because people follow me. Because I will share with everyone I know everything I know to help them. I will share with my colleagues. And when I was like that and people saw that they could come with me and learn from me, and my manager wasn't willing to do that, that was a threat. I've had it in the church as a church leader where the pastors felt threatened because people follow me. Never taken a member. I have no desire to start a church. I've experienced it everywhere. It doesn't stop me from doing what I do because I'm a leader. I don't have to say I'm a leader. If you got to say you're the boss, you're not the boss. When you sit there and say, things are going to be done my way around here, and your wife starts laughing, you know you have no authority at home. How you feel about all these things is going to determine how much you grow, which way you grow, how big your business is, how much people you influence, how many people you help. I look at my business creating jobs for people, having an impact on society, making an impact that our company can make an impact where others aren't. I'm not simply looking at how to make my $75,000 or $100,000 a year. I'm looking to do more than just that. I'm interested in more. If you're not interested in more, that's fine. If you say, I want to be a solopreneur, don't say you have a business. Because here's the reality. You don't have a business. You're self-employed. I don't care if you got a C Corp, S Corp. I had this conversation with my lawyer. And the reality is, if you don't have a management and you have to work it every day and you can't take off and you don't have a management team and you don't have people running a company for you, you don't have a business. You don't have a company. You can't sell it. In 15 years, it's still going to be worth $150,000. You don't know where the valuation is going to be in 10 or 15 years. I'm going to leave it to my kids. Do you even know if your kids want it? People, I know I have a business. No, you're self-employed. By yourself. You have a job. You just happen to own a very good job. You own a job where you can come in and do what you want, how you want, whenever you want it. You have freedom. But you don't have a business that you can sell for $2-3 million and then retire in style. That's the reality, whether you like it or not. So, what's limiting you from growing? It's mostly your thinking. It's your stinking thinking, not the facts. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. I will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.